Welcome everyone for the astrology capsule of October 2018. First, let me tell you that I'm traveling in Europe and I was in France, now I'm in Germany. And while I was in France, someone stole my phone. So I'm using a new technology. I hope the quality will be fine. So anyway, let's get going. So let's just do a little very brief recap of September. So September, there was a lot of different aspects, but let's just use the main one, which is this shift into the accompaniment of Saturn with the full moons, and that shifted to the accompaniment of Uranus with the full moon. So for 7 months, Saturn was always really close to the exact same degree as the full moon, which is always composed of an opposition of Sun and Moon. And in September, both Saturn and Uranus were at that same degree, at that same position, not the same sign, but just the same degree, and that makes them form an aspect with the full moon every time. And so it was like that for Saturn for a while, and then in September, as I just said, both Saturn and Uranus were there, and then after in October, Uranus starts already being off by a few degrees, and then in November it's gone, not at all in line with the full moon anymore. But Uranus does the job. Uranus just do the same thing as Saturn was doing before, and it will be accompanying the full moon. So it's a big shift because we go from Saturn to Uranus so Saturn is an energy that is really self-centered to our own personal destiny, and also connected with a general structure, so the government, any type of structure we think of in society, in our own personal life, in our family, in our country, in our organization where we work or where we're involved, etc., etc. And so Saturn was really about ourselves and the structure, and our own destiny and the structure. Now it's Uranus taking the stage for the full moon, so it's very different idea. It's about a new paradigm involving everyone. So it's not only about our own personal destiny, it's about us, it's about the whole, it's about us plus other people around us, our surroundings also included. So it's a big shift, it's a really big change. And what is extremely important is how Uranus gets involved really strongly in October already during the full moon. But first, I just want to describe you very briefly the beginning of the month from October 1st to about mid-October. It will have a lot of different squares in that first period of time. So a lot of tension in the air involving the very fast planets. So those will be including Sun, Moon, Mercury and Venus. Will be, well, the Moon will move quite a bit, but let's say that those will be mainly in Libra and Scorpio, and they will be in square with a very serious planets, masculine and very serious, very authority-like planets like Saturn, Pluto and Mars, and those will be of course in Capricorn and Aquarius. So lots of squares between those two different bunches. It will never be a full square with all those planets involved at the same time. There will be just some, short time square between some of them, and it will be changing for the whole first half of the month of October. And the most important point through those squares is of course the new moon, where Sun and Moon will be in conjunction in Libra, and they will form a square with Pluto in Capricorn. So that square is the main one, and at the same time Venus and Scorpio will be in square with Mars in Aquarius. And by the way, Venus and Mars were making squares for a little while, about a month. So now it's getting more and more precise, but it's very interesting to see that all those personal planets will be involved into those squares in the first half of the month. So we're talking about Sun representing our consciousness, Moon representing our subconsciousness, and then we have Mars representing our will, Venus representing our feelings, and Mercury representing our mental, intellectual capabilities. So pretty much all those energies we use in our daily life, all of those will be in square with those very serious planets as Saturn and Pluto and Mars and Venus together. But really connecting with Saturn and Pluto, which are really strong. Both of them really resonate really strongly with the word roots, both Saturn and Pluto, underground. So very strong. It's the basis of our life that is really moving our personal planets, moving our daily life. So it's just a combination of what we feel deep inside and what we're not even really aware of, that kind of feeling. It's something that we're totally unconscious of, but it's still making us do some choices in our life. It's still having a big impact on our personal life, and our personal planets are just in tension with those energies, those roots, those things we don't even see. So that's very, very interesting, all that first part of the month. And then it's slowly moving towards that famous full moon of October, which will be happening on October 24th, 2018. And at that moment, the opposition between the moon and the sun that is always forming the full moon is very specific, because in conjunction with the sun there will be Venus, and that will happen at the 1st degree of Scorpio. And on the other side we have the moon in Taurus in conjunction with Uranus at the 1st degree of Taurus. So those will form an opposition that is very, very strong, because all those planets have a very specific work that they do in those signs. The moon is exalted in Taurus. Uranus is in detriment in Taurus, and then we have Venus, which is in exile in Scorpio. So all those have very specific energies. Let's go more clearly into each one of those. So the moon exalted in Taurus is just receiving, capturing all this energy from the spirit, from, let's say, the sky above, and all that heaven, we could say even, and it just receives all that energy, and it condensed it into matter, into Taurus, into real earthly life, into our life on earth. And it's just very, very, very strong. Strong antennas receiving all that energy and condensing it into matter, into our daily life. So that's very, very strong. And then Uranus there in detriment in Taurus is doing an exact different work. It's just changing things into the world of Taurus that usually just likes to be, you know, stable, to persevere into the same direction, and doesn't really like to change. But Uranus bring the change into that basis of Taurus, and since it's in conjunction with the moon, it's actually changing our antennas, it's changing our moon, it's shifting something into our ability to receive, to perceive, to receive that energy from the spirit, and to be able to condense it into our material life. So it's changing something into this feminine part of us, which is this receptive part of us that connects with the spirit. And usually this part of us, we don't change much. It's, you know, it's not something that is moving. It's not so much emissive. It's not emitting energy. It's not something that is changing all the time. It's receiving. So it's, you know, it's like a container. It's like a cup. It's something we don't change much. We usually change the liquid that goes in the cup, but not the cup. But now this time we will change the cup a little bit. We'll make it a bit more perfect, so that through time it will do a better job. It will receive more, it will receive more subtle things. It depends how we change it, but there will be a change into our ability to receive those energies. So that's very strong on the Taurus side. And on the Scorpio side, we have Venus there in exile. And Venus in exile is extremely interesting. Scorpio, Sun in Scorpio brings us into full intensity, into what we really want, and it's crucial. It's something, it's fundamental. We want that energy. It's something we absolutely want with all our desire. Our most intense desires, or in Scorpio. It's all about intensity, especially Sun in Scorpio. It gives that strength, that will extremely strong, that desire that makes us crave for something. We really want it. And if we add Venus there, Venus is in exile, and a planet in exile is not a homeless planet. It comes from the opposite sign, which is Taurus, and that planet Venus in Taurus is ruling the sign. So it's a ruler that comes in Scorpio actually. So it's actually like a queen coming. So it's very strong, and it brings all its virtues along. And Venus brings its sweetness, its softness, its tenderness along in the sign of Scorpio, which is so intense, usually ruled by Mars. But now Venus is there, and it brings this very subtle way of appreciating, of loving, but in a very subtle manner, in a very soft manner, very sweet, very gentle. And it changes something in our life, because we are then able to appreciate what we really desire. We can go there, but in a very soft manner. We don't have to go there and try to take it and own it. We can just go there and feel it gently, experiment it, but in a very soft way. And that's very, very, very nice to allow ourselves to do this, because sometimes our belief system makes us think that we have to own those energies. We have to be owner of that intensity that we want so much, that we desire too much. We think we have to own it, but we can just experiment them in a very soft and gentle way, like Venus is proposing to us. And that makes, that opposition of Sun and Venus and Moon and Uranus on the other side, it just underlines the importance of the feminine part of ourselves, because we have both feminine planets there in that balance of things. In this opposition, we have Venus with the Sun and the Moon with Uranus. So those two feminine planets, Venus and Moon, are there, and that's where the work is really happening. But by allowing us to live the intensity in a very soft, gentle, subtle manner, we allow us also to change our receptive ability. So to develop our intuition, it's a very, very important month, because our intuition, it gives us access to extremely intense moments in our life. Through intuition, we can feel things that are so intense, because the intensity we try to reach in Scorpio basically is based on some very, very deep things within us. We want to feel complete. We want to find our soulmate. We want to be reunited with the divine, with God, let's say. But if we heard about God in a really bad way, or if we heard about our soulmate in a weird way as well, we might not be very inspired to go there. We might think, oh, we just have to own that energy, and it has to be mine, it has to be our own. But in fact, if we allow ourselves to look at it in a very subtle way, we can really appreciate it, and it works on our intuition, on our moon, on our imagination, on our ability to receive the information, to connect with this reality, and to receive it, and to even start condensing it into matter in Taurus. So it's a very, very strong moment to change something in our way to receive, in our imagination, in our intuition, so that we're more connected with that very strong energy of Scorpio, which is the most mysterious one, very beautiful. Scorpio is a wonderful sign. All astrologists that tell you that Scorpio, ooh, it's a weird sign, dangerous, or ooh, don't go that line too much. Scorpio is a wonderful sign, very, very mystical, very, very strong. Of course, all sorts of things are happening, but it's because Scorpio is looking at the intensity of things, and then our understanding of what is intense and what is not intense is actually at stake, because the intensity will be looked at in Scorpio for sure. So Venus helps us to have a look at it in a way more gentle way, which is extremely beneficial for us. So in a nutshell, that's the astrology for the month of October. Thank you very much for watching and appreciating. Please share, like, of course, subscribe, and activate that little bell next to the subscribe button, so you know when the next capsule will come out. So thank you very much for watching, and see you next month for another astrology capsule.